NIA BTEC Sport Level 2, this is Unit 3, Learning Aim B.2, the Cardiorespiratory System. In this video, we're looking at the respiratory system. So the structure of the respiratory system, air is usually drawn into your body via the nose, sometimes the mouth, and passes through a series of airways to reach the lungs. For Unit 3, you only need to know about the lungs, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, and the diaphragm. So it's fairly simple. When you then move on to Unit 5, you'll then go into this into a little bit more detail, or if you're then on the Level 3 course. So let's get started then. We have two lungs. We have a left and a right lung. And as you can see from this diagram, they're filled with what you might describe as what look like mini trees. Okay. Now, these are your bronchi. Okay. So air is traveling through these pipes into your bronchi, into then your bronchioles, which are then the smaller ones coming off these, as you can see from the laser pointer that I'm showing. And then at the end of these little sacs here are then your alveoli, and these are what the air then fills into, and these are then filled with air and oxygen. Now, this is the point in which the cardiorespiratory system works and combine the cardiovascular and the respiratory system. Now, these alveoli are covered with capillaries, and we spoke about capillaries in our last video when we're looking at the cardiovascular system. And a system takes place called the gaseous exchange, where we then have oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood. There's a transfusion taking place at this point, where the oxygen from the alveoli sac then gets drawn into the bloodstream with the capillaries, and the deoxygenated blood comes out. Again, we can talk about this in a little bit more detail when we get into Unit 5, or if you're on the Level 3 course. For your course, just to recap though, really simple, you just need to identify the two lungs. You then have your bronchi, which are these sections here, which then split into the bronchioles, and then you have the alveoli sacs. Now, the only thing that we haven't spoke about is your diaphragm. Now, the diaphragm is a muscle just underneath the lungs, and this then allows us to breathe by contracting, giving a space for the lungs to fill up with lots and lots of oxygen. When the diaphragm relaxes, it pushes up against the lungs, and then all the carbon dioxide is then pushed out of the lungs, and that then impacts our breathing process, where we can breathe in, the lungs open up, we can then get lots of oxygen into the alveoli sacs, and then when it then goes out, we're releasing that carbon dioxide.